All right, so back at the house now after the boat has been towed back. For the people that towed me back, thank you so much if you are watching this. Hopefully karma comes back and I can do the same favor to someone else, and the next time that that family goes out fishing, they catch an absolute massive fish. So thank you for doing that. Next part is I've got to fillet this lovely kingfish that I have here. Absolutely beautiful kingfish. I've bled it, I've gutted it, and then I've put it on the ice in the Daiwa fish bag that I've got. Chucked it in there and it's nice and cold. It's ready to go. So I'm going to show you how to quickly fillet a kingfish like this, and then hopefully show you some sashimi. So what you need, obviously, you don't have to have these gloves. They're kind of like gardening gloves. They've got a rubbery base to them. It just gives me more grip when I'm holding the fish and trying to maneuver the knife around the fish and stuff like that. So I really like using that. And then obviously you need a filleting knife with a bit of bend in it. It's got to be a flexible blade so you can be able to work your way around all the bones and stuff. But first things first, we need to get into doing this. So what I like to do, I like to just do a cut right at the top and then slowly work my way around to the bottom. I'll just do that cut again, all the way up to the top. Sort of just getting the outlining of what we want. Now, what you want to do is keep these. These are what they call the wings. So if I pull this off, that is what we call a wing. They are so delicious when you cook them up. Cook them up in butter and garlic. I'll flip the fish around so it's a bit easier for me to fillet. But what you want to do, you want to follow your knife all the way down the backbone of the fish there and just slightly outline where you're going to go. So start right up at the head and just work my knife into the flesh all the way down. That's why you need the flexible blade. Having the flexible blade, I can push down right against that backbone there and get it to go all the way down to the back. Now once I get far enough to be able to go over the bone, I just lift my knife a little bit over the bone, follow it all the way down to the end. So now we have somewhere to start from. Now you can start from this end or you can start from the head end and work your way down. Since I've already got this up and running, I can sort of just pull the meat back by just doing some sliding strokes till I get to a point where now I can start working underneath the flesh. And can you hear that little, if you can hear that, that means I'm working right next to the bone, right next to the fish there, and that's what you want. So then you're not losing any of that flesh. But like I said, this is quite a big skeleton anyway, so I can easily pick away at it once I'm done here. So just open up that flesh. Now she's starting to get nice and open. I can work my knife all the way down the bone line. Getting every last bit off. Now this is the hard bit now. You have the rib cage to go. Just clean this one up a bit more. Just clean this up a little bit more by running my knife along the rib cage, up and over the rib cage. Once you sort of get it going up over the rib cage, it sort of falls off it a bit. It follows the line of that rib cage there. And then we are almost there for one side. Now, we're almost there for one side. What you want to do is keep this flesh on, okay? Because when you flip it over now and you didn't have the flesh on it, it's quite flat and it can make it quite hard to fillet. So what I like to do is flip it over, keep a little bit of the flesh still attached, and just repeat the same process. without moving the fish too much. Now I'd normally do this at the boat ramp, but the ramp I got dropped off at doesn't have fish cleaning facilities nor cleaning facilities for the boat. So back at the house we are for this filleting session. Now I just flipped it back over. I've got one flank off, flip it back over and quickly take the next flank off, and there we have it. Bit of a hack job, but still beautiful. Two big, beautiful slabs of kingfish there. Now what a lot of people do now is use fresh water to clean all this bloodline off. That's the last thing you want to do. As soon as I put fresh water onto this, it's gonna soak up into the flesh and become really mucky. So what I like to do is use salt water, only a little bit of salt water just to clean it. So I'll dunk it back in the bag that had salt water in it, the cold salt water. I'll dunk it back in there, quickly give it a wash, and then I'm gonna use paper towel straight away so it doesn't suck up a lot of that salt water and it will stay, absolutely pristine. Then, once I've done that, I'm gonna knock off all the sashimi bits in the skeleton. So I'm gonna knock the skeleton away and work my way through processing the rest of the fish. So I've got one other wing here that needs to be cut. Quickly cut that away. Like I said, one of the best pieces of eating you can have is that kingfish wing. You have two beautiful wings there, ready to go. Let nothing go to waste. You can even use the fish head for fish soup. But yeah, so what I'll do now, instead of cleaning the fish, like I said, what I'm going to do is just get little leftover bits of sashimi from this kingfish. So just run my knife right down, push it in, and really get every last little bit of flesh off. And that's going to go into the sashimi pile, because kingfish sashimi, one of my favorite things to eat. Right, so I've cut all the bits of flesh that was left over. As you can see, there is barely anything left. Look how thin that kingfish is now. Barely a skerrick of meat left. Now this is really, really good crab bait. Also the tail, you can chop the tail. Let me get the meat cleaver. You can chop the tail off, and the dogs absolutely love chewing on this. So I'm going to let them have a chew of that in the backyard in just a second. So that's the frame all done. Wings are off, everything like that. Like I said, if you want to use the fish head, you can use that for soup. What I have now is some wings. I have a handful of sashimi that I have just finished dealing with. The next step is I need to skin these two fillets, so I'm going to show you how you can do that. What I like to get is one second. What I like to get is a pair of pliers. I pinch the tail end of the skin, start running my knife along it, and then it's just a pull-push action, and then you can start getting the fish off. Now you can go from here and pull like this. I don't like doing that because at times the flesh can be quite soft and very, very hard to do. So instead, I like using the pliers and just running my knife all the way up to the top. As you can see, that is so much easier than just trying to rip it. That is the skin all done. No flesh left on there, just the bloodline, and that's it. So that's one. And here is number two. As I said again, pinch the back with your pliers and just start running your knife right through it. If you can hang your knife over the edge so then it's nice and flat as it can get, even better. Again, skin off. You can leave the skin on if you like to have your fish with skin on. Personal preferences, doesn't really matter. So next step is to fillet it. What I'm going to do first is I'm quickly going to get rid of all this bloodline. So I'm just going to slowly run my knife very, very gently and try and get the most of this bloodline off. Because this is not what you want. This is the stuff that makes the fish taste real fishy and not what you want. And kingfish is a prized catch. It is a beautiful eating fish. And if you take the time to go out there and catch it, you might as well spend the time here at the table looking after it so you give yourself the best tasting fish. Alright, so your next step is, now that most of that bloodline is out, is to cut straight down the rib bone right next to where that bloodline was. All the way down to the end I'll do. So, have a look at that. Absolutely perfect piece of kingfish ready for me to slice up and have something to eat. So, I just put that through my little salt water there. So what I do when I catch a fish I want to keep, I bleed it straight away. It depends on the fish. I normally like to gut them as well while I'm there. Might as well just throw the guts back in the ocean. And then straight into some salt water. So salt water goes straight into my fish bag with two 2-litre bottles that have been frozen with water in it. So it's like an ice brick, and then that just cools that salt water down straight away. Perfect for cooling the fish flesh down and being able to deal with it and fillet it. When the fish is a bit colder, it's a lot easier. The meat seems to firm up a bit better, and it makes it a lot more easier for you to be able to fillet the fish. So that's one done. 2, 3, and then the last little one. Alright, so the next step is to start dealing with the fish and getting it pre-packaged, ready to be frozen. I'm a big fan of the cryovac, so I've got a little Kmart cryovac machine here. What I want to do is I want to dry the fillets first. So that's the first step I'm going to do. I'm going to go through, dry all the fillets, make them as dry as I can, and then start packaging them up ready for the cryovac. Alright, so now it's time to use the cryovac. As you can see, the fillets have changed quite dramatically over that whole process. Now we have some beautiful, clean looking fillets, except for these little two. But the majority of them are beautiful, clean fillets. They're gonna make at least 3 meals just out of the fillets. So I'll just quickly package these guys up. Put a couple of fillets in the bag, just enough for a meal. Start cryovacing it in just a second. there you have it. A beautifully prepared piece of kingfish now that is cryovac sealed. It is going to last an age way better than just chucking them straight into freezer bags. If you're going to eat the fish, or say like this was our meal and I was going to eat it within the next day or two, it's more than happy to chuck it into freezer bag in the fridge. That will be fine. Even if you are a bit worried, cryovac it, chuck in the fridge. It all does the same thing. So yeah, gonna keep cryovacking all of these and then get on to some sashimi, hey? So what we have now is it all cryovac. It is beautiful. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 meals. Perfect from that kingfish there. That's just from the fillets. That's 5 meals right there. We've got a meal for wings. 1, 2, 3, 4 sets of fillets all ready to be cooked up and ready to go. So as you can see, if you look after the fish and really take your time, you're going to get a lot out of it as well. So on to sashimi. So with the sashimi, what I like to do is quickly clean all of the fillets, and then again get out some paper towel and just dry each little bit. You don't have to dry each little piece, you just want to dry most of it. You want to dry 90% of it, nice, and get rid of all that salt water, the fish slime. Just get rid of most of it and you will have a much firmer version of sashimi. It won't be as slimy and it will taste absolutely perfect. What I also like to do, I'm not going to eat it right now. I could if I wanted to. What I like to do is cool it down as well. So this is still quite cold from being in the fish bag, but I also want to make it as cold as possible to really help it come along into that nice firm flesh. So if you dry it before you chuck it into the fridge, it's not going to turn into slush basically. But if you don't dry it before you chuck it into the fridge, it can just turn into this absolute slush fest. Just chuck it all in there. Pull them slowly and gently off. Max is having an absolute ball with the tail. If you can hear him chomping away behind us. He's chomping away at that fish tail for fun. All right. So now we have a nice big bowl of sashimi there. Perfect to eat. I cannot wait to have that later on. So I'm going to chuck it in the fridge for a couple of hours, go do a couple of things around the house, and then later on today we will have it. But for you guys, it will be in the next couple of seconds. You enjoying that, Max? Yeah, you are. You're loving that fish tail. Alright, so I've let the kingfish cool down for a bit now, for an hour or two, and I'm going to make some sashimi kingfish. It's really simple, really easy to do. All you need is some soy sauce and a little bowl to dip. And some lemon. That's all I use. You can have sesame seeds, you can have mint, lime, all this sort of stuff if you want to. You don't have to, but I really enjoy it just like so. So I get a little bit of kingfish, straight in the soy, and then I have my plate covered in lemon juice. Just a touch of lemon. And that is as good as it gets for kingfish. I love sashimi. Taryn does not. She's not the biggest fan of sashimi. I'm not going to eat all of the beautiful sashimi that I have. What I'm going to do, I'm going to actually ceviche some of this stuff as well on another day and see how it goes. But even though the day ended up with my boat breaking down, which is frustrating considering that it broke down last time and I was planning on getting it fixed, and apparently it was, but it's not. So back to square one in regards to that, but still caught some really good fish. Didn't get any live bait, no squid, no yakkers or anything like that, but didn't really need them, and I caught that absolutely massive kingfish. So hope you all enjoyed it. Leave a thumbs up if you did, subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out.